So I have been waiting so patiently, not so patiently, for these to come in so that I can try them. If you are new here, hello, my name is Sarah. I am super glad that you've joined us. If you are returning, welcome back. My whole purpose for this, by the way, is I got feedback that said, a lot of the areas where I am, and even my own aesthetic, doesn't really call for dark slate. It calls for a lighter vibe. So what are we going to be doing today? Any laser, a CO2 or a diode. Diode as low as probably 5 watt would work. We are going to be engraving the acacia wood portion of this marble and acacia. Now, acacia does have a couple little quirks, but easy tips to get around it. Also, I think I may do the laser foil on the wood as well. I keep getting a lot of questions about the laser foil. I love it too. And if you are unaware, laser foil is specifically for laser use. It is not what you can get from Cricut or Silhouette. And I love using it, so I will also do that so I can have one of those to show as well. Yeah, let's get started. I'm super excited.
So if you're new here, I don't add fluff in my videos. You can go to the YouTube playback speed inside the cog where the settings are, and anything above the word normal will slow this down. This is really great if you're a beginner and want to do the same things I am doing on screen. So this part is going to be 100% your style. I'm creating 2 block and 2 script and block styles. So that just means that I am creating basic designs. I am going through adjusting fonts, looking at spacing. Using the guidelines is probably one of the number one things I would suggest. You just drag them off of the rulers at the top and the left-hand side. Use these. Once I have all of my weights set and the styles that I want, I'm going to connect my device. So today I'm going to be using the xTool F2, which is a Galvo style infrared and diode, but I am going to be using the diode portion today because this is an organic material. So I'm going to size it, but I'm not going to focus too much on the placement right now because I have a tip for that. I'm going to come up here and select the material. So I'm thinking they're going to be in here because it's an xTool product. So let's see. If I type in coaster, oh, there they are. So there are different shapes. I don't know that those need to be in there by shape, but I'm going to choose this one and hit apply, and I'm not even going to look at the settings. So these are their default settings, and that's a no. I'm going to always increase the LPC to a minimum of 140, usually 160, and that's only because this is Acacia. Number 2, do not mess with anything under here on the advanced settings. We are going to only increase that power. If you do one thing, 2 passes at a higher power and a mid-range speed is how you are going to get a consistent result with Acacia. So number 1, leave this as 1 pass. So you can see those are my settings. Anywhere between 300 and 400 is probably a good idea. So I'm just going to add one little piece for a guide here because I don't have a jig and it's not going to help you anyway, and I'll stand by that 100% of the time. Are you ready? When you take the picture, you can see this is not even. The wood grain is pointing down, so you can't measure to that. The actual half mark of this coaster is off. So what we're doing is we're measuring to the eye. So in design, there's 2 ways to measure, absolute and to the eye. Eye is always going to be good on things like this. Okay, so last night someone asked me to explain this. Let me zoom in. Every one of these is set up on a grid, so you can see the grid. The halfway mark is A, not even, meaning it doesn't measure the same, and B, it actually changes across each of these. So let me zoom in on the bottom ones, and you will see that the halfway point for these is A, a little higher, or B, at an angle, and that's just the way that these are built. So anytime you're trying to put it into a jig, you may get the overall position of your coaster, but it will look off because you aren't measuring to the eye. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a series of rectangles. This will help me measure the center in the width and center in the height. Always remember, before you process, you're going to go ahead and unite or combine or convert anything like the name into a path so that it'll work a little faster. But here you go. That's how I center things. And I also do the vertical the exact same way with a rectangle. That's it. I promise you that's going to be your best friend. Jigs will help you put it in the laser, but when it comes to these things that are not consistent, do not rely on them. So I'm going to turn off everything I don't need, the other designs, for example, and then I want to talk over here on framing. So first of all, I like to use the polygon on these kinds of things. To turn on framing, you have to click the button right here. So after you select the mode, you have to click that, and then that way it will frame. So you can see that's my frame, the little purple light, and that is good for me. So I'm going to show you at the top. See, it says busy. You have to turn that off before you can hit process. If you're new, that's something that can be frustrating. So you can see about 40 seconds. So when I'm going to show you the actual processing, I love that little button. It's not a sales pitch. I just think it's so good because I don't move anything. All right, so after it's done processing, do not touch it. I like it, but I know I can get a more warm burn, so I'm going to process it exactly the same again. This is a tip for acacia wood. If you do 2 instead of 1, you will get a nice, beautiful burn without that sap stuck. So here you can see, I'm good with this. I like this. It's going to darken up a little when we seal it. So now we're going to do the foil. So I'm going to go grab one of the designs in the foil. I'm really curious actually to see how that little EST does with the foil. It's very thin where the S is at the bottom. So it's all an experiment. Let's do it. So again, I'm going to be centering only to my eye. I'm going to make sure that I unite and combine or convert to path everything. And we're always going to make sure everything else is off before we start our little centering thing. Again, I do 2 horizontal, 1 vertical, and all of that gets placed absolutely perfectly. So for the settings, I'm not going to engrave this. I am actually going to score this. So when I turn it to score and you can see my settings there, I always recommend 2 passes. You may end up doing 4 passes. It's not going to hurt, but I'm curious down here, so I'm only going to start with 2 passes. Again, I'm going to go ahead and frame it and turn this framing on, even though the foil is not on yet. Trust me, it's going to help. So always put down the piece because we're going to be messing with it from after we already measured everything in place. So I just taped it at the top. This is like a sticker, so I'm just going to anchor one side and gently press it down. So if I usually have gloves on, but this is just for my samples today. So I would take a scraper with a felt portion, anything really soft. You can even use one of the rubber brayers. Just make sure there are no air bubbles. Make sure that it's down pretty well. When you hit refresh, now it's all still in place and everything is ready to go. Isn't that nice? Oh, you got to turn off framing and then you can process it. So I'm going to process this. I mean, literally, it's so fast. It takes 5 seconds to do 2 passes. So once that's done, I'm going to look at it and say, yeah, I need a little bit more. And this is something you're going to just use or get to know when you use the foil. But look at this. Oh, hold on. You have to do one more thing. So it doesn't do the inside. So we're just going to use a plastic scraper. What do you call it? Plastic razor to pull those up and then just lift them out. So I learned don't use metal because you can scratch it. So this is what they look like before I seal them. And then this is the sealant I'm going to use today. Pretty sure I can use it on marble and wood. Yeah. Okay. And this is the wood after I've sealed it. So you see how it darkens up just a little. I'll show you in another light as well. This is it in natural light. So I think I really like the look of it. I'll be happy to position that. And then here is the foil. It's a little less shiny, but it's still very gold. So give this a try. That's it for me today. I hope you learned something and found it valuable. Please like the video and subscribe.